Hey, I'm Shraddha and welcome to my channel. So, this is my first ever long form YouTube video where I sit down, face the camera, and talk to you. I'm from Mumbai, a city in India, but currently I'm living in the US and I work as a UX and conversation designer at a tech company. And today I finally decided to do this BookTube Newbie Tag video so that you can get to know me a little better, and I would love it if you introduce yourself in the comment section so that we can connect. And let's get started. Why did you start this channel? So, apart from really talking about books and sharing recommendations and also talking about books that I really like, I want to hone my storytelling skill and also want to get comfortable with expressing my thoughts without the fear of getting judged. Storytelling is an important skill for my job, so I'm hoping that while I pursue my hobby, I can also hone on a skill that will really help me at my work. Okay, so what book or series got you into reading? When did you start reading? When I was 10, my dad took me and my cousins to watch the first Harry Potter movie. All he told us was that it's a movie about a boy who goes to a magic school, and I at that time did not know that it's based on a book. But when I was watching that movie, I was sold. The entire movie, I was like this. My mom was super confused. She said, "ये बच्चे काले कपड़े पहनकर झाड़ू पर क्यों बैठे हैं?" The next day, I told my mom that I want to read the other three books in the series because I think that just 4 books were out by then, and she just did not take me seriously because before this I had never read a book. I would read a comic here and there, but I never really sat down and read a book end to end. So after much convincing, she took me to a used bookstore and I bought the first 4 books. In fact, there was only one copy of the 4th book, Goblet of Fire, and it was literally falling apart. But I still bought it and then I put a cover on it. But while I was reading Harry Potter, I realized that it's not just the story that I like, but I also like the act of reading. The fact that I was imagining characters and I was imagining the landscape and scenarios and how the spell would work. Everything was really exciting, and it was for the first time that I was actually reading a story from start to end, and there was just so much in that universe. So I have never looked back since, and I'm so glad that my dad took me to watch Harry Potter, which eventually got me into reading. What are some fun and unique things you can bring to BookTube? Every content creator wants to do something new that's never done before, it's first of a kind and it's unique. But let's be honest, it's kind of impossible. Because, for example, I am not the first person to start a BookTube channel or to do this BookTube Newbie Tag video. But I believe that every person has a unique side to them, and content creation is a creative outlet for them and for me to show my unique side. So after a lot of reflecting and thinking and rethinking, I have concluded that I have about 2 to 3 things that I want to focus on this channel and I can bring to BookTube. The first is, along with my fantasy and fiction books that I read often, I want to start reading more about Indian history, specifically written by Indian authors. I feel that Indian history is kind of misrepresented and misinterpreted. I think it's time we take the initiative to talk about our history and our culture. So the other thing that I want to focus on this channel is acknowledging the fact that not all of us can read 10 to 15 books in a month. I know many booktubers have the superpower of reading. In all honesty, I admire them and I wish I could be like them. But let's be real, it's not possible for me in this season of life to really dedicate that time. And I do not have that mind space. I generally read about two to three books at max. Even that is a stretch for me sometimes. But that does not make me or anybody who reads just even a book a month any less of a reader. What questions would you ask your favorite booktuber? Yeah, the biggest question that I have is, how do you get out of a reading slump or a creative block as a booktuber? How do you keep going when you don't feel like reading or you want to step back, but also know that there is a community online that's waiting for you? What challenges do you think starting a BookTube channel will be the hardest to overcome? I think for me personally, it's facing the camera. I'm very uncomfortable in front of a camera, and even to shoot this video today, it took me a lot of self-convincing. If you'll see the shots that are there on this channel, I just could not face the camera and speak, so I did a voiceover just to make sure that I am not awkward. But even then, in a lot of voice recording, you will find that awkward pauses and that underconfident voice. But I think with time, everybody gets better, and I hope to get better too. Another challenge, like I mentioned, is making time to read along with my full-time job, and now that I am committing to a YouTube channel. I'm so new to video making and content creation that it takes up a lot of time, and I'm just learning and troubleshooting, and that really leaves very little time for me to read because I'm so tired. While I'm enjoying this process of learning something new, but I don't want to compromise on reading because that's what truly brings me joy. Where do you read? I read here on this couch. I sometimes read in my bed, or if it's sunny outside, I love reading in a park. I'm so looking forward to summer. Also, I've recently started listening to audiobooks. I borrow audiobooks from my library. If you want to know more about it, let me know. I can make a video about it. But listening to audiobooks has actually helped me read a lot more than I would usually read. I like multitasking, so I listen to audiobooks while cleaning or cooking, or just on my bus ride to office, or even just when I don't feel like reading a book but I still want to read a book, so I'll just sit here and listen to an audiobook while doing nothing. I also want to talk about my reading goals for this year. I am not somebody who puts a number to my goals because number of books is not something that is going to make me happy. So I kind of thought about it, and my goals look very qualitative instead of quantitative. I am not judging anybody who has put a number to their goals, but that's just not me. One of my goals is to buy less physical copies, or basically buy less and borrow more. I live right next to a library, and I really want to take advantage of that. I don't believe that you need to own a copy to really, call yourself a reader again. But I am somebody who goes book shopping really often. But my goal when I started reading this year, I set a goal that I want to borrow at least 50% of the books that I read. That's way more sustainable. And let's be honest, I am not a rereader. I rarely reread books that I own. So the only books that I've reread is Harry Potter. I have so far borrowed 8 books from library, and I don't know, somehow the books that I have borrowed from library always turned out to be better than the books that I own. Maybe it's because I don't own the books and I find the stories so fascinating. The other one this year was to try a new genre. I was initially drawn towards dark academia, but somehow I could not see myself getting into it at this time of the year. I found myself leaning more towards cozy mysteries and cozy fantasy, and I've loved it. So I think that is something that I'm going to keep exploring this year. One of my goals is to read more books by indie and BIPOC authors. I want to be a more diverse reader in general. There is something about indie stories or indie authors because it's not that popular and you don't have a preconceived notion about a book. And going into a book clean slate is the best thing, and I've had one of the best reading experiences every time I pick up a book that I don't know about or haven't heard anybody else talk about it. Also, reading about different cultures, race, religion opens up your mind and the way you look at the world. So, I want to get better at it. If you made it till here, thank you so much. It means a lot. Don't forget to like and subscribe. That really helps me because that gives me confidence that I am not just talking to a wall and somebody is really interested in my content. And I hope to see you next time. Bye.